All right, James, do we think we have you now?
I hope so.
There we go. There we go. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You look to me. I've been meaning to ask you because I don't come down there to the. I mean, you look like you're like a really fit dude. Are you like some workout guy? I mean, you were talking about Burrow a couple of weeks ago. I heard you on the radio and all the shakes and all this kind of stuff. Is that your program too? All that kind of thing?
Not the mass gainers like Burrow, because unfortunately I'm not trying to necessarily add weight.
Yeah.
He has a gift that all of us want, right? Of just being lean naturally. But no, I do try to work out a bit, no doubt.
All right. You're always working out down there at Paycor. What's the vibe? You know, they come off the loss. We've talked a lot about it, all kinds of things, but they're back at it in practice. Weather's been great. What's the vibe down there the last couple of days?
They're not panicking. You know, they're not all of the outside talk. And I think you could see it in Joe Burrow's Wednesday press conference, asking about the interceptions and all of those things. And it's not an arrogance, but he's kind of like guys, I'm not going to make those mistakes again. I don't know why I made some of those throws. And I think he would admit that. But I think he's going to correct it. And this Bengals team, they are confident. I wouldn't say cocky, but the veterans aren't panicking after what should have been a win against Pittsburgh. And I think they're confident they can go to Dallas, get a win, and right the ship, and everyone feels good again at 1-1.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Dallas. I just mentioned before you came on, we know about Dak Prescott. He has a surgery. He's not going to play. Now it's Cooper Rush. What are the challenges that he presents as a quarterback? I mentioned he's only played in 11 games, and that includes coming in, late after Prescott got hurt. He had only played in 10 games going all the way back to 2017.
I think the main thing, and Zach Taylor talked about it on Wednesday, the fact that he's comfortable in this system. He's been in this system, Kellen Moore's offense, for quite some time now. And so I don't think the Cowboys offense is going to look much different. Now, the ceiling certainly drops when you go from a Dak Prescott to a Cooper Rush, but that goes without saying. But they should still be able to operate and do a lot of the same concepts. And so I think that's the part of it that the Bengals need to be ready for. At the same time, this isn't the old Cowboys offense where the offensive line is awesome and Zeke Elliott is an all-pro and they have all these weapons all over the field. Really, it's CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, who, unless you play fantasy football, you might not even know he's the Cowboys tight end. Mm-hmm. And that's about it from a weapons standpoint. So they were already limited offensively with Dak Prescott at quarterback. But Cooper Rush is someone that they do have film on. It's not a Mike White situation last year where he comes in out of nowhere and shocks the world and throws for 400 on this Bengals defense. They have film. They can prepare for him. So I think they'll be ready. But, yeah, Cooper Rush is certainly a capable backup in this league.
From a defensive standpoint, talking about the Cowboys, that defense played pretty well on Sunday night. Yeah. Now Tom Brady and the Bucs were missing some guys and all that kind of thing. I sure hope the Godwin kid can come back and get healthy again because he is one hell of a player. But that's neither here nor there for this week. But talking about their defense, where are their strengths on the defensive side, and where are there areas that the Bengals, at least on paper, think they can exploit?
Well, it starts with Micah Parsons. It probably starts there and ends there. He's the guy that can completely wreck the game. Normally, we'd say a quarterback or a receiver or something like that, but he's TJ Watt-esque, if you want to call him that. But the difference with Parsons is he's able to move all across that defensive line. So Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, he's going to scan this Bengals offensive line, and I'm sure he's going to say, all right, we're going to test Lyle Collins. We're also going to move Parsons across and test Jonah Williams because he struggled with Alex Highsmith. And, a fourth-round rookie out of North Dakota State and Cordell Volson, we're going to get him one-on-one with Micah Parsons in space. So good luck because Parsons, he wins with speed, he wins with power, had 2 sacks on Tom Brady last week and really made it tough on any third and longs for the Buccaneers offense. So that is the guy I'm watching in, out, all around. Trayvon Diggs is another player that a lot of people are going to mention, the cornerback. And he's just a turnover machine. But, he's got a way about him a nose for the football. He'll take risks. And that's the important part, especially early in this game. I think the Bengals, obviously, they can't turn the ball over like they did last week. But if they could give Burrow enough time to maybe a double move to Chase or something like that, get Diggs to bite, then I think you can get up early. And that's a big key to me. Can they get off to a quick start against a Cowboys team that is beat up and is reeling after just one game?
The whole Collins thing, he was a really good player for the Cowboys for a long time. Part of what you mentioned a moment ago, what once was 3 or 4 years ago, the best offensive line in the NFL. And he was a part of that, or offensive line in the NFL, and he was a part of that. They had all those first-round picks up and down the line and so forth. Has he had a chance to talk at all about what this game might mean to him going back to play against the Dallas Cowboys?
We tried to get him yesterday, and it did not work out. So hoping to chat with him today about it. But I know it matters to him. And just talking to him and knowing how it ended in Dallas and the questions about him. And even now, some of the questions that people are asking, because he didn't practice much during camp. I think that this is a big game. Even though when you went back and watched, I thought he was better than people initially thought, including me initially thought, against the Steelers. This is a chance for him to show everyone, including the Cowboys, that he's still one of the better, high-end right tackles in the NFL. He's gotten a ton of reps now. He should be good to go. And like I said, he's going to be going up at least somewhat against a Micah Parsons, and they also have Lawrence as well, who's a really good pass rusher. Yeah. So they've got some guys that can get after Burrow.
One follow-up to that, I saw the headline, and I did not read the article. I meant to get back and check it out, where Jerry Jones was asked about Collins, and Jones made the comment, tell me if you've read this, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, that he went back and watched every play of Collins in the season-opening game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Did you see that story? And if you did, what was that all about? Because like I said, I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing.
Wow, I did not see that.
Yeah,
I must have gotten lost in the shuffle for me. I'm going to check it out. So instant reaction. One, I think the former Bengals in that were in Dallas, so Chidobe Awuzie and La'el Collins, I think they're excited to have an owner that doesn't talk after every game. So I'll throw that one out there.
Well, it's funny you say that. Go ahead. I want to hear the second part.
Yeah, the second part is Dallas could really use, at least on paper, a guy like La'el Collins. So saying that, Jones is probably like, man, we've had offensive line issues. Did we make the right call here? And so that's probably why he went back and watched. He's kind of snooping on his ex, so to speak, to see if, how things are going.
Well, it's so funny, James, you bring that up because Brian Billick, who is a regular on this show, talking about the NFL, when he and I worked together doing games at Fox, he would talk all the time, and this is going back a number of years ago, about the whole scene, for lack of a better word, after a Dallas Cowboys game. That it really doesn't seem to matter what the coach has to say after a game because Jerry Jones, as you just pointed out, unlike Mike Brown, we know, Jerry Jones is a general manager, and he talks after every game. And more times than not, he's saying a lot of things that provide food for fodder, right? As far as the talk shows go and as far as the team goes and as far as the fan base goes, he's the guy after every game, more than the coach, more than the quarterback, more than Parsons, more than any of them. And Brian has speculated that is very difficult for players who play there.
I think so, 100%. I mean, could you imagine? It's emotional. Winning and losing is emotional. Guess what? The Bengals weren't happy when they lost the other day, and I'm sure Mike Brown was just as upset as anyone. So if you're talking to the media after every game, it's just one of those things. Would I do it if I was an NFL owner? No, probably never going to be an NFL owner, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I also think Jerry loves to make headlines and stir the pot and be in the news and be on all of the sports talk shows. But that is hard on a culture. That is hard on a team when the standard is winning a Super Bowl. And, most people haven't seen that in the Cowboys that are 25 and under. And if you're 30 and under, you don't remember it either. Right. So yeah, it's quite a different time right now, especially because the Cowboys kind of stripped down their roster this offseason. Traded Amari Cooper, didn't re-sign Randy Gregory. Obviously, La'el Collins is gone. So this isn't the Super Bowl contender that they were maybe a few years ago.
I don't even know if they were a Super Bowl contender. I know they had a good year, but it just seems like that it is so dysfunctional down there. I mean, it's cool to go there and broadcast a game. There's Jerry Jones during practice walking up and down the sideline, and Dak Prescott running around, and all these other stars and so on and so forth. Then you walk in that. Have you been to the stadium yet, by the way, James?
I have not, so I'm excited to get down there.
Dude, the place is unbelievable. I mean,
I'm going to compare it to SoFi because we got to go to SoFi for Super Bowl 56.
See, I've not been there. Does SoFi have the big, the huge scoreboard there in the middle where you're sitting in the stands and it's like watching it on TV in your living room?
It does, not to the same extent. And I actually think it's more subtle with the way they have it. And so just seeing pictures and stuff of Jerry World, as we call it, I think I'm going to prefer SoFi, but we'll see. I'm going to go in with a clean slate here and see what I think. I've heard great things about AT&T Stadium.
Well, the cool thing about it is I remember a couple of times I've done it. I was having the chance to sit in for Joe Buck and when he was doing the World Series and working with Troy Aikman. And, of course, you walk around Dallas with Troy Aikman. It's like, all right. But that when it's the late game, and Dallas seemingly through the years is always at 4:25 kick on Fox or CBS or whatever. And so they put on a 1 o'clock game on the big screen. So it doesn't matter what side of the stadium you're on. This thing is so mammoth. I think it runs from like the 20 to the 20. It is so mammoth you can't see the upper deck on the other side of the stadium. And this screen is so crystal clear, and you're just sitting there locked in watching the 1 o'clock game while you're allegedly getting ready to watch the Cowboys and the Bengals this week. End of the day, Bengals go down there like Joe Burrow suggests. They're ready to go. They come out with a victory in Dallas on Sunday.
They better. This is a team they should beat. Even if Dak Prescott was the quarterback, I would be saying that. This Bengals team needs to get a win, and it is only week 2, but you can't lose to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys if you want to be mentioned among the Chiefs, among the Bills, among teams like that, these AFC contenders. And that's where the Bengals want to be. I think that's their talent level, and so we'll see on Sunday if they get it done. But, yeah, certainly that's they're favored again for the second straight week. I think they should be, and they need to go down there, play turnover-free, and create a couple big plays and get out of Jerry World with a win.
All right, one thing I forgot to ask you about, an update on T. Higgins. Do you think he plays on Sunday?
Feels like it's leaning that way. He was able to practice some individual drills, not team stuff, but he was there for the initial install on the field, which is a good sign, put his helmet on. And, I think he's trending in that right direction. The problem is, you know how concussion protocol is. It's one of those things where it could hold him back. But I do know that he's checked the boxes that he's needed to check up to this point. So if I had to guess, I would say he plays, which would obviously give this offense a huge boost.
Yeah, I mean, they really missed him when he went down last week. Sometimes they don't necessarily throw a penalty flag in a game, James, and then the league comes back a number of days later and they'll fine a guy or something along those lines. Was there any aftermath on that hit, clearly helmet to helmet, on Higgins in the Pittsburgh game?
I haven't seen anything yet. Sometimes those fines come down on, I believe it's Saturday before. Some of them come out, like officially. So We'll see. But I agree with you. I thought it was a penalty in real time. I was surprised it didn't get called.
Yeah. I mean, they make the player safety thing, and they talk over and over and over about it, and I think by and large they've done a good job, but they can't miss. And I understand the officials are not perfect. I never get on them. I never blame them for a win or a loss on a team you're rooting for and that kind of thing. I understand fans who do, but I just don't know how on things like that you miss it. I mean, that was a serious blow, helmet to helmet, on a player for the whole world to see. And no penalty flag. The guy's knocked out of the game. And like you said, maybe the league will hand down some kind of fine. But at the end of the day, you're not correcting the mistake by a fine. Anyway. All right, James, you're traveling to Dallas to win. What's that?
On Friday. But that player would say it's worth it, though, because if T. Higgins is out there, I think the Bengals win. I think that mattered a lot.
It does, man, and that's the point I guess I did not make well enough is that, by that point, it's water under the bridge. You can't change anything. It, for sure, as you point out, had an effect perhaps on the outcome of the game. And yet, if you're that player, you took that shot, you take that fine. And like you said, for Tomlin and Steelers, it's well worth it. All right, that's old news. Off to Dallas. Safe travels, my friend. Godspeed ahead, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Sounds good. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, James. James Rapien. Everything Cincinnati Bengals for Sports Illustrated. He's all over it down there morning, noon, and night. And his podcast, All Bengals, is fantastic. The guy is really on his game.